Alright, this is the review sheet, problems 24 through 26. Alright, let's look at 24 first. Let me copy the problem. Alright, so we're taking the limit, plugging it, so the goal is to plug it in first, see what happens when you plug it in. When I plug it in, that ends up being g of 2 over 2, which is 1, minus 2 over 2 squared minus 4. G of 1, here's g of 1 is 2, so that's 2 minus 2. So that makes 4 minus 4. What you have is 0 over 0. This is an indeterminate form. This is a form where you can apply L'Hopital's rule. So I am going to apply L'Hopital's rule. You do need to state, if this were not a multiple choice question, you need to show that the limits of the numerator and denominator are going to 0 over 0 or infinity over infinity so that you can apply L'Hopital's rule. L'Hopital's rule, once you have 0 over 0, you can take the derivative of the numerator and the derivative of the denominator separately. Right? So the derivative of g is g prime, and then take the derivative of the inside, that's x over 2, so just half x. So the derivative of half x is 1 half, so that's where that 1 half comes from. The derivative of x squared is 2x. So this is L'Hopital's rule. I am not doing the quotient rule, so I'm not doing the whole fancy thing. I'm just taking the derivative of the numerator and the derivative of the denominator. Excuse me. Alright, now I'll plug in the 2. So if I plug in the 2 now, it'd be 1 half of g prime of 2 over 2, g prime of 1, over 2 times 2, which is 4. So that's going to be 1 half. G prime of 1 is negative 2. So 1 half of negative 2 over 4. So that becomes negative 1/4. And that's choice A. Let's look at 25. By the way, there's a typo on 25. This choice C should be a positive 3 over pi. Alright, so plug in the 1 to see what you get. So it's 1 times g of 2 plus 1 over 2 times the sine of pi times 1 is pi. What is g of 2? G of 2 is negative 1, so what you have is negative 1 plus 1. So the numerator is going to 0. Sine of pi is 0, so you have 0 over 0. So we can apply L'Hopital's rule. So let me just copy it real quick. xg 2x plus x over 2 sine pi x. Alright, we have shown that the numerator is going to 0, denominator is going to 0. So we're going to apply L'Hopital's rule. So product rule here, x times g of 2x, that's going to be 1 times g of 2x plus 2x times g prime of 2x. Okay, what just happened there? So I'm using the product rule. So it's x, the derivative of x, which is 1, times the g of 2x, plus x, this is that x, times the derivative of g prime of 2x. I'm sorry, the derivative of g of 2x, derivative of g of 2x. So that becomes g prime of 2x, and then the derivative of 2x is 2. So that's where that 2x comes from. Right? This x comes from the original x, and that 2 is the derivative of 2x. Now take the derivative of x, which is 1. Now I'm taking the derivative of the denominator. The derivative denominator is going to be 2 cosine pi x times pi. Right? This pi comes from taking the derivative of the inside. So derivative of sine is cosine, and then the derivative of pi x is pi. Alright, now let's plug in the 1s. So that's going to, so this is scratch work. This is scratch work. So it's 1 times g of 1 plus 2 times 1 g prime of 1 plus 1 over 2 times the cosine of pi times pi. So g of 1, look up here, g of 1 is 2. G of 1 is 2. So it's 2 plus 2 times g prime of 1. So that's negative 2. 2 times negative. Oop. Oh, shoot. That's not a 1. That's a 2. Alright, so that's a 2. That's a 2. So what is g of 2? G of 2 is negative 1. And g prime of 2 is negative 3. Plus 1. Over 2 times. Did I make a mistake here? Okay, that's 1. Alright. Cosine of pi is negative 1 times pi. So what do I have here? So that's negative 6 over negative 2 pi. So that becomes 3 over pi. Whew. That's why I had to make that change, right? So the answer is C. Alright, 26, it can be done 2 different ways. You're supposed to recognize the fact that is the definition of the derivative of sine of pi over 6. So that would be cosine of pi over 6. Cosine of pi over 6 is root 3 over 2. Alright, if you don't see that, you can also do L'Hopital's rule. So if you plug in 0, you get sine of pi over 6 minus sine of pi over 6, which is 0, and 0 obviously in the denominator. So if you do apply L'Hopital's rule, what you get is limit as h goes to 0. The derivative of sine pi 6 plus h. Remember here the variable is h, not x or pi 6. The derivative is h. I'm sorry, the variable is h. So derivative of sine pi 6 plus h is just cosine pi 6 plus h. The derivative of pi 6 plus h is 1. So you don't need to write that because you multiply by 1. Sine pi 6 is a constant. Derivative of that is 0. Derivative of h is 1. Okay, now plug in 0. And you get cosine of pi 6, which is root 3 over 2. So the answer is B. So that's it. Sorry for that goof up there, but I don't feel like doing this again. This was my second or third attempt. Okay, bye.